Hello there guys, and welcome back to our car modelling tutorial. And today in this episode we're going to continue with the front section inside here. I think we're looking quite good so far. If I just hit 3 on my keyboard, we can see that we've got this defined line that's coming down here. We've already worked on the archway and making sure that everything around here is looking good too. So I think what we're going to have to do is have a think about what's going to happen down here. So I think we want to kind of retopologize this whole area. I'm happy for the most part with some of it, but I think especially in this area we're going to need to make a couple of changes. So let's maybe start off in our top view here. We can kind of see where we need to go with this. We're wanting all of this here to be further up. I'll just take off my edge slide here. So we're wanting all of this to be up here, something like that. So when we hit 3 we can see that we're starting to make that curve there. So we want all of those to be something like that. So I think that's the kind of the first thing that we're going to want to consider inside here. Now maybe with these we can think about putting a little bit more distance. Now let's just check our view here, just make sure that we're still following that angle that we need to be. Now this bit here, this line, it looks like it's a much more defined line. So let's just get in a nice position along here as we run all the way down this portion of the car there. What I'm thinking we're going to want to do is we're going to want to kind of position this line. So I'm just going to select that one and delete it. And let's go and let's actually draw this one in. So I'm going to draw on here. I'm going to take this around here. I'm going to go roughly in the middle here instead. And we'll take this down, and again I'm going to go in the middle down here. But this time what we'll do is I think we'll maybe intersect onto this section instead. Something like that. And the reason for that is because that's going to help us bring this curve in up here. So we'll bring that in there, so let's bring that around. Let's maybe take that up a bit as well. Something like that. Because we're really not caring about what this looks like in this main view here. It's the subdivided view that we're caring about. I think the rest of that is looking okay. That's looking quite nice. So what that will allow us to do now is that will allow us to kind of plot a line instead of running down. We're going to want to kind of double up on this edge here. What we'll also do is let's get rid of what we added in the last episode. I'm going to double click on this line here. I'm just going to hold down Control and hit delete because I don't think we're going to want that anymore. What we are going to want to do is I'm going to drop an edge loop here, and this time we're going to go in this corner. And let's just double check as we move down here. We've stopped there because of this angle that we have here. So we'll drop another one in this lower section as well. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to add my edge slide just to bring that a little bit closer. And we should be able to bridge the gap between those here. And let's just take that a little bit closer as well. Okay, so we've got that flowing around there much nicer. So let me just hit 3 on here. And we can see now we've got a nice defined line running up here. Hopefully you guys can see that after YouTube compression, but we do have a nice line running up there, and we can see now that that links really nicely up here, and that should in theory follow this curve that we have up there too, which is quite nice. So that's looking good. Just to maybe get a better sense of that, I'm just going to apply my gloss paint. We can see there that that's running all up and around there, which is quite nice. I'm just going to bring that back in whilst we work on it though. One thing I think we want to do in here as well is we're going to want to think about this bit, because as far as I'm aware this section here on the actual car is actually curved, whereas this is quite sharp. So I'm going to grab this edge here and I'm going to make sure my edge transform is on. I'm going to hit 3, and see as we pull this away, the further away we pull this, the kind of smoother this is going to get. I think what we'll maybe do is let's maybe take that about halfway. And we hit 3, and we can see now that we've got a much smoother kind of edge there instead of a sharper one, which is a lot more like the real car. before we add in a section to kind of accent that, what I think we'll do is let's maybe pull this down a little bit, down here. Maybe, yeah, I think that'll be okay. So what we're going to want to do is we need another edge on here now, which is kind of going to match that same location. So let's maybe come zoom in here. I'm going to drop a line in, something like that, just hit enter. And then what we'll do is we'll drop another one on here, and I think we'll probably be able to just drop that there. I'm just going to remove my edge slide for this because we want to make sure that that's going to be nice and smooth as it goes up there. And what that will do is that will help us, if I hit 3 and then 3, that will help this edge here kind of follow that same curve. We can see that we're starting to get that same curve as we follow around in there, which is nice. So we see that's looking a lot better as we're moving down there. So we've got our edge that comes along here. We're happy with everything over in this direction. I think what we're going to want to do then is we are going to want to run an edge up along here, but we do want it to stop and then actually maybe travel up here. So I'm going to go and drag my multi-cut tool and I'm going to drop this in about there, and then we can grab my insert edge loop and we'll bring that all the way along here. Now before we do anything, it's on my edge slide. I'm going to bring this up in a bit closer. I'm going to do this all the way down so that stays nice and consistent. Bring that up as well. Those there. Let's have a go then with our multi-cut tool again. I'm going to connect around here, move around the corner, and then we're going to go up. And we'll go down this side. Just maybe take that a little bit further over there. Okay, and then let's just get in nice and close, and we're going to want to grab these and let me just merge those. So I'm going to go edit mesh and then we'll hit merge. I'm just going to pull that away a little bit there. Okay, so now if we hit 3, we should have a lot sharper there to kind of match that as it runs around up, and then we're going to get sharper as it gets towards the top here. I'm thinking let's go in here. I think that gap is too big at the top, so let's maybe take that a little bit closer. Okay. Okay, so that's looking a lot nicer, and then we're looking really nice as it goes down and through there as well. So I think the last thing we'll want to do is add in another loop just there. Let's see how that's looking. Okay, so for the most part, I think we're looking really nice for that piece. I think that's looking good. Let's actually, before we do that, we'll add an edge loop on that underside there, and that should run around all through there as well, just to help tighten up a couple more edges. I guess that's looking really good. Let's have a go then at throwing a nice glossy material on there. So this whole bit now is looking a lot more realistic. We've got a lot better curve inside there. It's looking more like the actual real car. What we could also do is let's apply that over there too. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with that. I think that's looking really good. We will want to add a bit more depth to that as well when it comes to bringing in our honeycomb mesh into that region, but I think that looks really nice. Maybe what we could do is we could move on. Let's maybe think about maybe the roof and then creating the area where the door kind of intersects in that section. What I'll do real quick is I'll just grab my reference images. Okay, so I've got some top reference images to kind of look at. So what I think we'll maybe do is we'll maybe have a go at just smoothing these two sections off. So let's jump into our top view, and we can see inside here that we do have some geometry partly already set up. So let's just have a go at moving this around just a little bit here, just to kind of reflect what we have a little bit more. For the most part, we will have our edge slide on as well. So let's just see what we can kind of do with these. We'll maybe go to the one side. I think it'll be easier to go to the right hand side over here. So we'll take all of these just to the one side here. Just like so. And before we do it, let's just do one more quick kind of go over it up here. So we just want to make sure we've got as much space as possible. So I'm going to grab these ones here. Let's maybe move over in this direction on our edge slide if we can. Something like that. And then we'll just double check, looking more at this as a perspective, and we just want to make sure everything's kind of flowing nicely around here as well, which I think it is for the most part. So let's have a go then at adding in an edge here. We're going to have to draw this in ourselves because of the way the topology runs along here. So let's go and we'll drop up here. I'm going to go all the way down along here, and I'm going to just worry about putting the edges in first, and then once we've put the edges in we can think about their distance. So bring this down and around here, and then around here. Okay, so once we're happy with those, first thing we're going to need to do is we are going to need to merge these together. Maybe we'll target weld up there. Okay, so let's throw on our edge slide, and we just want to make some good use here of keeping a nice consistent gap. Okay, so I think we want to go something like that. So we're going to go for a face, and let's select all those faces in that line. We're going to hit delete. We can see that that's a nice decent gap that we have inside there. So as usual, we're going to go for a separate here. What I'm actually going to do is let's get rid of that. So I'm going to grab both of these. I'm actually going to go mesh and then combine, and then I'm going to grab them again and we'll say mesh and separate, just so that we can duplicate special on both of those real quick. So I think the best thing to do is let's maybe do the roof first, and then we can think about the A-frame. So I'm going to grab all of the outside edges here, but we don't want any of these central ones. Take all of those. Now this roof is fairly flat, so I'm just going to hit Control E, and I'm just going to pull down just a little bit. And then I think what we're going to need to do is just relocate some of these edges. So take those ones in there. That should be okay because we will be able to build on those on the next one as well. Let's maybe grab this because we want this to be fairly flush. So we'll take this and just bring it out to the edge, something like that. And then we'll do the same with this one. Then once we're happy with that position, we could snap that to it. Okay. Now, in terms of this roof, it is a very flat roof. There's nothing too crazy. All we're going to need to really think about is trying to maintain. Now, as soon as we hit this, we can see that this is going to kind of go away from our existing A-frame. We can see that we do need a little bit more in there, so that's something that we'll need to consider. Before we do that, let's maybe, actually no, let's do that first. So I'm just going to hit 3. I'm going to jump into our vertices here, and we are going to pull this so it comes back in line as it should do. And I'm going to do that for all of these frontal facing elements here. Okay, so you can see now that we've got a much better shape going around for those. And let's just double check in our front view real quick. Okay, so we're a little bit low in the front in some aspects, but I think that's not going to be too much of an issue. We do have a problem over here. Let me just double check, see what's going on. Looks like I've got some kind of weird extra faces going on in here. So let me just grab those. There we go, just pull that one out. I think I might have accidentally extruded that extra face there. Okay. Obviously our windscreen, we can hit 3 on our windscreen as well. Let's hit 3 on here. And we want to see that intersecting for the most part. So I'm just going to take the areas that we moved and we'll just pull that down just a touch. And then we'll reposition the windscreen to match that afterwards, but I'm fairly happy with what we've got there. Let's actually just do the windscreen real quick just now. So I'm going to grab, let's go, and we're just going to snap directly to these front ones. Okay, I'm fairly happy with those. Okay, so we hit 3, and we're looking quite nice around there. Now I'm just going to hit 3 on the windscreen as well. Okay, so that's looking quite good. I think for the most part as well, in terms of the whole roof, it's not looking too bad. Again, I think I must have extruded something down here that I shouldn't have. Looks like I've got an extra face. So it is looking nice and smooth. It's looking like the job is mostly done for us. So let's go then and drop in some edges. So I'm going to just draw these 2 edges in here. Well, just the one edge, the 2 vertices. Let's insert an edge loop and go down here, nice and close. And then we can go down there too. And then using the multi-cut tool, as usual, I'm just going to fill in this gap. And then once we're happy with that, we can go in and I think we'll target weld up there. So that's looking good. We already have this double edge at the front, so that's fine. Let's add one of those at the back here. Drop that in there. Let's hit 3. So I'm thinking that's looking good. Let's go and grab our glossy color and drop that on. So we see that's looking really smooth. That's looking really nice in there, so that's good. Okay, so for this now, this is going to be a little bit of an awkward one because we want to kind of match this curve the best we can. So let's take this one here, we'll just pull this out into position there. I'm going to just take the whole of the outside. I'm going to hit Control E. And I'm going to pull this in a little bit here on the Z, but also a little bit on the X as well. Let's go for some edge loops. We'll go right down to the bottom. And then right up to the top. And then just for good luck, we'll go down both sides as well. Let's hit 3 on that. Okay, so for the most part that's looking quite good. But we do want it to sit a little bit flusher, I think. So maybe there. Okay. And then I think that one will look fine around there once we start to add some information to there. So that's looking quite nice. Let's go and let's add our gloss black to that. We'll do the same over here. Okay, so that's looking quite good. So we're starting to make some nice progress on this. Let's maybe do this section down here and the windscreen. So let's go, just take away the smooth. I'm going to delete these two. I'm going to grab these two, so that the little cowling and that bit. I'm going to combine them together and then separate again, just doing that just so that it's deleting all the history and everything, and it's just going to mean that we can duplicate special without any problems. We can do the same down here as well. So let's maybe take both of these. So on this one, let's hit Control E. I'm just going to pull this straight down. And then just throwing in some edge loops for that, like so. So that's going to be there for us. And then let's maybe just do the same. Let's grab everything on here. I'm not going to grab these central ones. I'm going to remember to deselect all of those. I'm going to pull this down on component view just a touch. Oops. I'm going to do the same. I've got some edge loops all around there. Just to make that a lot smoother for us. Okay. Just thinking for this bit, I think that should be fine. Just a little bit of an underlap there. So that's looking okay. What we could do with this, because we do have some darker portions, maybe what we'll do is eventually we'll maybe colour this in. We could maybe add a bit more. We'll maybe do that in future bits, but the whole thing here being glass isn't quite true because we do have like the kind of edging that runs around there, but we'll add that in at some point. So that there is looking, it's looking quite nice in terms of all that information. I'm trying to think of something that we could do which isn't going to take up too much time, because I want to try and go one panel per episode. Maybe what we could do is let's maybe do this section. So we'll maybe go and think about adding in some honeycomb mesh down here. So let's grab all of this. I'm just going to grab all these inner edges here. Just make sure I've got every single one. Okay. I'm wondering if, yeah, what I'll do is I'll maybe grab this one as well. Actually no, we won't take that one. I'm going to hit Control E. I'm going to take this down here. just to there. And drop in an edge loop. I think I missed an edge here. So I'm just going to bridge here. You guys may not need to do that, but I'm just going to bridge between. Drop that there. That should go all the way around. And then that should match, obviously, this next bit that we have here. So we hit 3 on there. That should look quite nice, which it does. Okay. And then I think what we're going to do is let's go down again with this. So I'm going to take all of this here. So I'm going to grab that, I'm going to hit Control E. And we're going to go down just one more time. A similar distance. Actually no, let's not, because I think the honeycomb mesh would be able to sit in what we have just here. So I think we'll just go down that one. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to make a section that's going to be relative to this. So let's go in, let's select all of these faces. So I'm going to grab all of these here. Take all of these. I'm going to go say mesh or edit mesh, and we're going to hit duplicate on those. Okay. I'm going to grab each of these vertices and I'm going to pull it in just a little bit. So go in 2 directions on that one. Pull that in there. Okay, so just grabbing these and we're just shrinking them in a little bit here. Like so. And then whilst we're here, let's just reset this back to the original Lambert, just so we can see it a little bit better for working. Let's do the same on here. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to grab all of these faces. Okay, a little bit smaller on this one, so I'll maybe grab all of the one above as well. So I'll take all of that. I'm going to say edit mesh, and we'll duplicate those faces too. Okay, and then with that selected, we're going to do the same idea. We're going to pull these away. All the way around. Okay, and again, let's go and quickly apply our Lambert to that. So I think what we'll want to do with both of these is I'm going to just center the pivot for both of them. This first one here, I'm going to pull it down a little bit so it's matching, and pull this one down a little bit as well, so that they're matching heights. I'm going to double click that top edge, well not the top but the extra edge in there. I'm going to hold control and hit delete for those, and then what we're going to do is we're going to grab both of them. I'm going to go mesh and then we're going to combine them, and I'm just going to go and bridge the gap in between them there, and then the same here. Okay. So now if we hit 3 on there and everything else, we should have that running all the way around there, so we can see that quite visually, which is good. I'm going to attempt to select that. There we go. I'm going to go around, I'm going to double click top and bottom, I'm going to hit Control E, I'm going to push out on the blue there. What that should do is that should make that nice and thick to go inside. And I'm going to insert some edge loops, so I'm going to go on the bottom towards the top, and then just that top bit there. And then we can hit 3 on all of that. Smooth that back out. And we can see we've got a nice little trim in there now. That trim we can add our gloss black to. Side there. So we've got that little bit of trim. And what that trim is going to do is that's going to be the trim that's going to sit and use for our honeycomb mesh that we created a couple of episodes ago. So in the next episode what we'll do is we'll maybe add that mesh inside. We'll also maybe start to think about moving down the rest of the car as well. We would obviously want to duplicate special on these because in that extraction they would have deleted, which is fine. So I think we're looking quite good here then, guys. We'll add the honeycomb mesh in the next episode, and then we'll continue to work down the rest of the car. So if you enjoyed this episode, please hit that thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you in the next one.